All right, today we are going to further extend our understanding of those measures of variation. So my quartiles, my median, my interquartile range, and things. And we're going to display that visually. So this whole unit has been visual graphs representing our data. So the final graph we're going to talk about is a box and whisker plot, okay? So let's go ahead and kind of talk about this. Your box and whisker plot divides your data into 4 parts or quartiles. And so we can see that from our quartile calculations, okay? So the middle of the data is the median, which we already know that, and that is your quartile 2, okay? What we know about this is that 50% of our data is within the box that we draw. So right here is my box. 50% of my data points fall in between this. So we could say in between, I don't know, that's like 5.8 and a little less than 9. 50% of my numbers in my data set are within that range, okay? That's your interquartile range. And so your lower quartile, that's this next blank here, the lower quartile, or your Q1, is the median of the lower half of the data. We talked about that last week. Your quartile 1 is finding the middle of that first half. And then the upper quartile, or the Q3, is the median of the upper half of your data. So let's start labeling some things on my box, okay? So this line right here represents your Q1. So whatever number your Q1 is, that's the first line that you make of your box. Then this is Q3. So again, 50% of my data falls within Q1 and Q3. That's what we're finding, okay? This number in the middle is exactly that. It is your median, or the middle of your data. It is your Q2, which we can also say is the median. All right. And then finally, we have the whisker parts. So the whisker, this would be your maximum, or that upper extreme. This one would be your minimum value, or your lower extreme. Okay. And so again, box and whisker plots divide your data into 4 parts or quartiles. So that is just repeating what we already had typed at the top of the page, because it's very important. Okay, if you're wondering where the four parts coming from, right here. Here's the lower 25%, here's the bottom 25%, and then here are these 2 right here. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and create a box and whisker plot for the data. And so then what we want to do is first find all of that information about our data. We want to create our plot here. Sorry, I hit some people coming in here. So I'm losing my train of thought. So we're just going to start going from smallest to largest. That's step 1, because I need to find all those things. I need my Q1, my Q2, my Q3, my min, my max. That's how we're going to graph it. Those are the 5 things. You'll also hear people say 5-point summary. Those are the 5 things you need to make your box plot, okay? So we have 389 as my smallest number, then 440, 460, 521, 548, 630, and 674. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm just off to the side going to write my Q1, my Q2, or my median, my Q3, and the max, and the min. So those are the 5 things that I need. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to first find the median, or that quartile 2. So I'm going to just start crossing off from side to side until I'm left with 521. And I'm actually going to circle that number because I do have a number here in the middle. Let me circle it so I don't cover up the 1. So my quartile 2, or the median, is 521. Now I can go and look at the lower half of the data. What number is directly in the middle? 440. If I crossed out the 460 and the 389, I'd be left with that number. So this one is different than how we did last week. This time, I have a middle number, but I also have a middle number for my Q1 as well, okay? So then here I have 630, okay, as my middle number for my Q3. All right, so my maximum is going to be 674. My minimum is going to be 389. That's just by looking visually at your data. What is the highest? What is the lowest? Okay, so now we want to actually plot this. And so this is, I think the hardest part is just setting up your number line. And for the quiz that we take in the test, I will have the number lines kind of already numbered for you, but we're just going to set up our numbers right now. So we want to make a number line here at the bottom of the page. And so I can, we're trying to have something that looks like this, right? All my numbers at the bottom. So we want, it's something important about identifying your max and your min is we need to have my numbers going from 389 to 674, which is kind of a big range, okay? So because we're needing to cover a lot of ground, almost or a little over 200, almost 300 numbers there. You don't want to go up by 1, right? That would be crazy. You don't even want to go up by 10s. I would go up by 20s or 30s, okay? But let's just go up by 20s. So I'm going to start mine down here. I'm just going to start kind of low at 370, and I'm going to keep going. So we're at 390, 410, 430, 450, and so on. So you can just keep filling yours out with me. Usually the data isn't this large, but I do like this example because it does show us what we need to do if we do have a large amount of data. I even need to extend my number line a little bit more. Okay, so as long as you go up to like 690, we should be fine. Okay, so now that I have my number line, I'm going to actually make that box plot, okay? So what do? I'm going to plot the min and the max. So my minimum is at 389, so we can say almost right at 390 there. So that's going to be represented by a dot. And then my maximum is 674, so that's just going to be a little bit past the 670 line. You want them to be kind of level with each other, so I might move my dot up just a little bit more. Okay, now I want to start, each quartile gets a bar, okay? So my quartile 1 is 440. So I'm going to make a bar directly in between the 430 and the 450. My median, or my quartile 2, is 421, so that's almost 521. That's almost 520. So I'm just going to put that directly in between 510 and 530. And then finally, quartile 3 is 630, so I can put my bar directly above that. And so now we can connect. So if you would like to use a ruler, that's fine. But I know everyone's box is going to be kind of, if yours looks like mine, that's fine. It can be kind of a weird box. Okay, now we can extend those quartile 1 and 3 bars to your max and your min points. So something like that is our final product. Again, it does not have to look perfect by any means. As long as you have your bars in kind of the right zone on the number line, that's all that matters. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this. Is the data of this skewed left, right, or is it symmetrical? So this is where we want to think back to everything we've been doing with the dot plots and the histograms. Something newer for the histograms is by looking at your the size of your lines from your quartiles to your max and your mins, okay? So we're going to look at the size of the lines, okay? Connecting, we can say connecting outside values to Q1 and Q3. So what do I mean by that? So this would be symmetric data because these two lines are represented, they are almost the same size, right? Most of my data is right here in the middle. The lower and the upper ends of my data are about the same distance apart, okay? So I would say that this would be symmetrical. And we will look at another example when it's not, so that way we can tell the difference there, okay? Because that one's a little bit weirder to see. It's not as visual as the other ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a box and whisker plot for this data now. All right, so we want to label everything from smallest to largest. That is step 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you may need to just kind of watch this and then pause, or you can just pause it right now and do this yourself, because you will have to end up doing an example on your own. Okay, so here are all my numbers in order from largest to smallest. I'm going to now work on the median, okay? So we're going to cross off from end to end. And thankfully, I do have a number in here, 53, that is directly in the middle. So like before, we can label off to the side Q1, Q2, Q3, my max, and my min. Okay, so the Q2, or my median, is 53. And now I'm just looking at this lower half of the data. I'm going to go through that process one more time. I'm going to start crossing off. So we're going to cross 48, 52, 49, 51. I have a number in the middle there. 50 is my quartile 1. Keep going. 54, 68, 56, 67. I have one number in the middle, which is 57. The largest number, my max, is 68. The smallest number, my min, is 48. So when I set up my number line, I want to make sure that my numbers go from 68 to 48. Okay, or I guess I should say that the other way, from 48 to 68. This time we're only going 20 numbers. So I would say going up by 2 would probably be fine here. If you want to go up by 1 and make 20 tick marks, you can go up by 3 or 4. Usually 2 is a little bit nicer though. Okay, so let's label this going up by 2. Again, this is up to you. I know for the test and the quiz, I will have the number line already made, but you have to make sure to include all of the numbers in the number line, because as I was looking at some of our dot plots, we would jump, like let's say 58, you stopped at 58 and then you needed to just put your maximum at 68. Then some people put 68 right here, or like put ... in between. You have to, because of this problem in particular, because you'll see when we're trying to determine if it's skewed or if it's symmetric, it's very important. You have to, if you're going up by 2s, you have to go up by 2s. You have to keep that number line consistent. You can't jump around. So we will talk about that more when I come back. But that's what I noticed from our dot plots. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot. So we have a Q1, or I'm going to do the min and the max first. So my minimum is 48, so a dot there. My maximum is 68, so a dot right here. My Q1 is 50, so that gets a bar. My Q2 is 53, so that's going to be a bar halfway in between 42 and 43. And I have a bar at 57, so another halfway in between here. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect now. I'm connecting all of it together like this, and hopefully you can see the difference this time. When we're asking, is it skewed left, skewed right, or symmetric? This one is definitely skewed, because look at the size difference. Look at the size between my Q1 and my min. And look at the size of that line between my Q3 and my max. I have less data over here. Most of my data is on this side. So because I have this longer line or more space, more empty space, I don't have as many numbers down here, I have less data over here, causing that. And what side is this? This is the right-hand side. So therefore, we would say that this one is skewed to the right. Okay? This one is skewed to the right. Yeah, because we have less data over here. I have that written down in the notes backwards, so I may need to double check that with the notes. I either wrote it down or I'm saying this backwards. So I'll come back to that in a second. Or I'll just leave a comment on the video here. Okay, so the next one, we are doing this one more time. So I'll go through this kind of fast here. So we're going to order our numbers from the smallest to largest. So we have 64, 70, 77, and I'm going to keep going. Okay, so here are all my numbers. I need Q1, Q2, Q3, the max, and the min. 5-point summary, the 5 things to make my box plot. So let's get started. So I'm going to cross off from side to side until I get to one number in the middle here. So my middle number is 80. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the bottom half of my data. I'm going to run through that process again. If I cross off from side to side, what's left in the middle? 77. Oh, wait, I have this in the wrong spot. If you're wondering when I'm making these videos, it's after I just administered the PSAT. And it's 3 o'clock, and I've been here a while, so my brain is slowly dying on me. Okay, so again, to get the Q3, we're going to go the top half of my data. What is in the middle? The 83. Okay, so my largest number is 88. My smallest number is 64. So I like to write that out again because that will help me set up my number line. So let's create a number line down here. I need to go from 64 to 88. So again, that's about 24 numbers. I say we can go up by 2s again. That's fine. If you want to go up by 3s or 4s, that's up to you, but usually 2s is the easiest to count. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. I'll even go up to 90. All right. So that looks good. Oh, man. You were probably like, Miss Reinhardt, you wrote 75. Yeah, I know. And I did 77. Man. Okay, let me move. I have the iPad, so I can at least move these around quickly here. Did I do that with the rest of them? No. I don't know why I just did that. Weird. Okay, I think we're good now. Yep, okay. So let's go ahead and graph. So the minimum is 64, so I'm going to make a dot above 64. My maximum is 88, so I'm going to make another dot above 88. My Q1 is 77, so I'm going to make a bar in between 76 and 78. And my Q2 is 80. And my Q3 is 83. So I'm making all of my bars like that. Now I can connect those bars to complete the box, as well as extending out the lines, okay? So we definitely have some skewed data again. As you can see, the line going from my minimum point to that, that side bar there at my Q1, that's pretty long, okay, compared to the distance of the other one, okay? So we're definitely going to say that it is skewed. And we're going to say, I think I wrote this down backwards on my notes. I said it correctly. So this one is skewed right. This one definitely is skewed right. This one is skewed left. Okay, this one is skewed left. Because most of my data is on the right-hand side, so I'm skewing it to the left. I don't have as much data here on the left. Basically, this distance is greater, meaning and it's on the left-hand side. So we're skewing left, okay? So you will want to, on your own now, make a box and whisker plot, and then you are going to answer the following questions. You are not going to answer part B, though, and that on the homework is also crossed off. All the part B's on the homework. All right? So go ahead and work on that. I will be checking notes and homework when I come back, so you will also have a homework assignment on this if you have not received that already. So if you have any questions, let me know, but I will be back tomorrow, and we will talk about some of this and do some practice with all of this. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you soon.